and welcome to the Dementia Doctor. Today we have Dr. Wheeler here with us sharing his amazing research. So Dr. Wheeler, welcome to the Dementia Doctor. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Chris Wheeler, and I'm the Chief Science Officer of a company called T-NeuroDx, and that company is focusing on developing earlier and more complete Alzheimer's diagnostic tools based on immune parameters that we've seen in the lab and translated some of those findings to patients. And we're currently validating those findings to get the test kits out there to patients as soon as we can.
What is the most exciting work that you're doing at your company currently?
Well, we're looking into what we call a missing link. So Alzheimer's is characterized by two major pathologies, amyloid and those that produces plaques, and neurofibrillary tangles that are comprised of phosphorylated tau protein. And so it's clear that you could develop amyloid in your brain via a variety of means, but it's not clear how that hooks up to the tau pathology later. Mm-hmm. And so we think we've found a link that does that actually links the two, and that can allow us to both diagnose Alzheimer's earlier, even before the amyloid sets in, but also track it more effectively after the amyloid has accrued in the brain.
That's very interesting because we know that a lot of healthy individuals can have amyloid in the brain and have no memory or thinking problems. Yes. And you're saying that you have found a link that links from someone developing amyloid in the brain and then developing tau in the brain, and you're targeting that link.
Yes. So the bottom line is we know who has amyloid. We don't know who goes on to develop Alzheimer's. And that's the link that we're developing that will be able to inform us about who goes on to Alzheimer's.
Is it more understanding the mechanism, or are you developing a medication to target that link?
We're doing two different things. So we're using the information we know now to develop a better diagnostic, and that'll tell us a little bit about the mechanism, but we also have done mechanistic studies into looking into what is responsible for that link and how to obliterate it or enhance it. So that would play into treatments down the road.
Yes, and are the medications that you're developing, are they in preclinical phase or are they in phase 1 or 2 of the clinical trials?
They're in preclinical phase for the most part. So we have several potential approaches that we could take. Most of them are in preclinical phase. There are some options that have been used in other disease applications, not Alzheimer's. So they have a little more movement down the regulatory pathway. So.
Are you also targeting inflammation at all?
Indirectly, so we're targeting T cells, which we call them adaptive immune cells. Inflammation is caused by a different set of cells, but we already know from our lab work that the T cells actually control the inflammation, at least the gross inflammation that we could see the best. So we think it's a controlling factor, not just a linker, but a controlling factor for other pathologies that happen in patients.
So the T cells, I understand, are modulating the inflammation, not so much causing the inflammation. So you're targeting them. Are you targeting any other cells in the body?
Again, only indirectly. So the T cells modulate the inflammation through a variety of molecules. We've looked at one in particular. It's kind of a master regulator of inflammatory cells, and that's another potential target for treatment. But again, that molecule affects a whole bunch of cells. We haven't targeted specific other cell type besides the T cells, but that controlling molecule instead.
So for our listeners, something that is in preclinical stage will take a couple years to come to the market, but nonetheless, we are very grateful for individuals like you who dedicate your life to developing these new drugs for Alzheimer's. Do you have any message for our families watching you?
I guess, hang in there. My mother had early onset Alzheimer's, and she suffered from that for 15 years, and I know the waiting is very difficult. But what she did is she just never lost hope. So that's a key component, and all your social interactions and engagements really help with that, and spiritual if that works for you. And that worked for my mom, and I think really improved her quality of life, even though, she was still waiting for something for treatment. She eventually did get treated with symptomatic drugs. So there was something to alleviate her situation, but yeah, just hang in there and know that we're all working very hard for you.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, hope is the most important thing we have. And thank you for sharing your personal story. A lot of individuals in this field are here with their personal stories and experiences. And I think it does make a very big difference in how you approach the problem, because you yourself have seen the most loving, or the person you love the most, suffering through it. So it does change you in terms of how dedicated you are to the problem.
Yes, it does. It contributes to your drive and dedication, as you said. So
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming to our channel and talking about your medication.
thank you.